The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Welcome to round 5 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at the TT circuit of Assen as the series returns to Dutch soil for the first time after the season opener at Zandvoort, and scorching conditions for the races in Super GT, GT and GTB. We'll have a full report on Sunday's main race coming up, but first the highlights of race 1. Super GT Championship leader Martin Lanting chatting here with Henry Zumbrink, who's second in the standings. Everybody trying to take it easy with 30 degrees Celsius temperatures outside. 1 hour race on Saturday with high cockpit temperatures and a steaming hot Assen track. Concentration and saving tyres is going to be key to success. Zumbrink starts on pole from Kelvin Snooks, Volvo S60's first and second, Roger Grahl's third in the Viper, right alongside us there as we ride with the championship leader, and behind the Audi R8, Fabian Hamprecht and Paul Bailey in that white Aston Martin Vantage. Well, away we go, and a great start from Kelvin Snooks in the white and green Volvo. Henry Zumbrink didn't get away there, the pole sitter, Bob Herbert goes around the outside into Harbach, takes second position. You can see very good start from the yellow Vicora just back there. Barry Mason, there is Mason right in front of us as we ride with Roger Grahl's. So Grahl's down to 5th and Mason 8th on the grid, up to 4th place away from the start. That's a great getaway. Well, track conditions pretty slippery here. The Truck Fest, the annual big truck meet, has left a lot of oil on the track. So Grahl's picks up a place as the Vicora runs a little wide, back up to 4th place out of Strubben. Fastest man on lap 4, Henry Zumbrink, but he dropped back down to 10th during the mandatory pit stop. The David Tech engineering team trying to fix the problem. Not good for his second spot in the championship.
Ja, teleurstellend. Ja, een versnellingsbakprobleem.
Very disappointing, he says. We've got gearbox problems, paddle shift didn't work, well, barely. At the start, I could hardly shift up, so I lost a couple of places. It did start working again through the first corner for a couple of laps. Then the problem got worse, and I only had 2 gears. Nothing the team could do eventually during the pit stops in such a little time. So I ended up finishing the race with just 2 gears until the end when everything suddenly started working again. So we think the faulty sensor came back to life, and I was able to set some fast laps again, but with losing 3 laps in the pits, there's nothing you can do, which is very unfortunate. Well, with the hard work of the team and a little bit of luck in the end, he did make the 75% race distance to finish 8th in class and get some points for the championship. Kelvin Snooks, his teammate, comes in as leader in Super GT. 15 more result seconds than the RaceArt SRT Viper GT3. He has a massive lead. Well, the timekeeper says he's going too soon, but he's determined to go. That's quite a risk to take it into your own hands. A second too early out of the pit lane, you're going to end up with a drive-through. Davey Lemonson, the timekeeper, a little bit confused there, but it seems that Snooks was right. After the hour-long race, he wins by just 8 seconds over the RaceArt Viper. Very close, he says. Over the radio, they told me the Viper was getting closer and closer. Really tough at the end. Very hot. The rear was sliding all over the place. Had a tough time keeping the car on the track, but pulled it off, and that's what counts. On pole in the GT1 class is Henk Thees for race 1. He's in the Radical RXC and he lies 3rd in the championship behind Aaron Scott here, who co-drives the Viper SRT10 with Craig Wilkins. They start 3rd on the GT grid behind the championship leaders, Frederik Jonkera and Patrick van Glabeke, and the Curbstone Ferrari 458, which is 15 points in front of them at the start of the weekend. A weekend where scorching temperatures are going to play havoc with man and machine. After 9 laps, GT class leader Henk Thees is in the pits, but it's too early for the mandatory stop. He is out of the race.
Gisteren hadden we ook een probleempje met de pomp van de bak.
Yesterday we had a problem with a gearbox pump, so we decided to fit an electronic one. Apparently it's not suitable for cooling the oil, so after a while I had no upshift, no downshift. Managed to carry on in 4th, but it's better to stop, I think, to prevent any further damage. Bit of pill to swallow because we were still hoping to contend the championship. This makes me really sad. Everything was going really great up to this point. I could keep up with the faster Super GT cars. I even dreamed of maybe taking 3rd place overall or something, but it wasn't to be. It's a shame, but we'll work hard to fix the problem and be ready for tomorrow's race. With Henk out of the way, Aaron Scott crosses the line in first place in the Viper. Together with Craig Wilkins, it's the first win of the season. They're gaining on their biggest rivals, championship leaders Patrick van Glabeke and Frederik Jonkeren.
Yeah, it was good. It's first win of the season. We've had a good year, but obviously with the penalties and everything, it's good that we're sitting in the pit lane, but also it doesn't help to win the races. So it's good today to get the win. I think the Ferrari had a bit of a problem at the start, so that helped us a little bit. But I held on for the win, so happy days.
Starting for pole for both races in the GTB class are championship leaders Ferdinand Kuhl and 16-year-old co-driver Max Kobold in their Chevy Corvette C6. They're 13 points ahead of Dan Meyer on the right here in the Martini Porsche. The GT3 Cup car's always very competitive. It's got great straight line speed, and that shows during the start. As Ferdinand Kuhl doesn't get a great getaway in the Corvette, Meyer is already putting him under pressure. Around the outside, cuts to the inside, has the lead into turn 1. Kuhl tries to use the torque of the Corvette off the corner, but Dan Meyer taking it so tight he actually clipped the tyre stack there in the next bend. Got away with that, and he holds the lead in the arena section, ahead of Ferdinand Kuhl with Marcel van Berlo's Porsche in third place. And Meyer holds the lead up to the pit stops. Kuhl can't get by, adding to his frustration. Porsche's got a better top speed. At the start, he's always quicker than me. It always turns into a great battle on track, but Dan Meyer was right on the edge. A couple of times I was next to him, he still turned in, bumped into me. But points are more important than retaliation at this stage in the championship. I'll return the favour later on. After pit stops, we dropped back to 5th because of our results seconds. We've also got a problem with the car. The front splitter's loose. But he's doing everything he can, and 4th or 5th isn't too much of a problem. We'll lose some results seconds. We'll throw in a drive-through for a mistimed pit stop, and 4th was the best they could do. Nevertheless, some of their rivals having problems, so they limited the damage. Dan Meyer claimed his 3rd win of the season, closing the championship gap to just 7 points. Ferdinand Kuhl complained about the contact, of course. Dan Meyer saw it differently. Every point counts right now, he says. I think it was fair. I understand it's a bit frustrating for Ferdinand, but that's racing. I'll have a chat with him later on. But a good result again for us, so I'm happy. Got some championship points, closed the gap to leaders, and we'll try and do the same again tomorrow. Round 5 of the Supercar Challenge is part of the Gamma Racing Day, the largest racing event in the Netherlands, with over 80,000 fans in the grandstand. Gamma's one of the bigger do-it-yourself chains in the Netherlands, and so is main Supercar Challenge sponsor Formido. Well, Jan van der Ham says it's a great event, so well organised, one of our biggest rivals in the market. They've done a great job. It's a great initiative to promote motorsport amongst thousands of fans, and we like to do the same. And what better than a Formido-sponsored car on pole on the Gamma Racing Day? Yeah, Kelvin with the HDI Girling Formido-sponsored Volvo S60 V8's done a great job. He's been doing a great job all year. He's a really good driver. To start in the front row on such an event, of course, is great news for Formido. Unfortunately, Gamma doesn't like it as much. They demanded the Supercar Challenge ensures sponsor Formido is removed from the windscreen strips. Well, that came as a surprise to Jan, with the official sponsor of the series. Formido's on the windscreen of the GT cars, but the event organisers didn't allow it. We don't want to make things difficult to ruin the sporting element. We like to promote the series. So we decided only to put the star onto the windscreen strip. That's part of our logo. I think everybody knows what it means, and it's a fun way of dealing with the issue. And actually, I think it's a big compliment that a much bigger company like Gamma sees us as a threat. That's really made my day. So solving it like this means the cars, the drivers and the fans can still enjoy this great racing series. And poleman Kelvin Snooks with the V8 Volvo has won 2 races so far. He'll be eager to take a 3rd. Alongside him on the front row, Henry Sundbrink, the other Volvo S60 and Polestar Blue and Yellow. He's won 4 races so far, but is 7 points behind championship leader Martin Lanting and Bob Herbert. Herbert starting 3rd with a Ferrari next to Robert de Graaf, 4th in the Race Art Viper. The GT pole sitter is Frederik Jonkeren in the Ferrari. He'll start in 8th place. And the GTB pole sitter Ferdinand Kuhl in the Gulf Corvette. He starts in 12th on what is a very busy race 2 grid. Air temperature 26 degrees today, so better in the cockpit and better on track than in race 1. 45-minute race should be 27 laps and 82,000 fans packing the TT circuit at Assen. Kelvin Snooks leading the field. Behind the safety car, Henry Sundbrink, then Bob Herbert, Robert de Graaf, Paul Bailey's Aston, and Barry Mason in the yellow Vicora V8. We're on board with Bob Herbert alongside us. Robert de Graaf and Bob Herbert warming the brakes. Paul Bailey on the left. On the right is the yellow Vicora of Barry Mason. as we look back from the third place Viper. So here we go, ready for the start of race 2. Now, does Kelvin Snooks make another good getaway? Yes, he does. Oh, and look at that. Barry Mason in the Vicora around the outside. Electrifying start again for him. Ferrari of Bob Herbert in third place. But the Viper and the Vicora side by side. Robert de Graaf just keeps his nose in front for fourth. On board with de Graaf. There's the championship points leader right in front. Bob Herbert sharing that Ferrari, of course, with Martin Lanting. GTB leader Ferdinand Kuhl in the Gulf-coloured car. We're on board with him. Couple of cars in front of us. Craig Wilkins in the Viper, Barry Van Elk in the Moser. Right behind, Dan Meyer, then Marcel van Berlo. And Carlo Kaya there in the white Praga. Oh, contact of the Audi as Slobodan Kecevic made contact there with Barry Van Elk in the Mosler, who's going very slowly, dropping down the order. Van Elk tried to get by. Craig Wilkins in the Viper has succeeded, I think. Yes, he's got through, but the Audi holding up Ferdinand Kuhl now in that Gulf-coloured car. And right behind, the Martini colours on the Porsche. Well, the GTB leaders are managing to squeeze by, but Kecevic is struggling in that Audi. He needs to get in the pits and get it checked out. Meanwhile, Kelvin Snooks leads. Blue car Henry Sumbrink in second, Bob Herbert in third in the Ferrari, and this trio starting to jump away from Robert de Graaf in fourth, the yellow Vicora Barry Mason in fifth, and our GT class leaders, Frederick Jonkerer in sixth position. Whoa, and Barry Mason getting it all wrong there. Whoa, looping it round in the Harbot. Got to keep the engine running, get back on track. And he's going to lose any contact with the leading group. Look, he's way down in the GTB runners now. Kelvin Snooks and Henry Sumbrink in the Volvos, first and second. Bob Herbert in third place. A gap back to Robert de Graaf's Viper in fourth. The man he made contact with, Barry Mason, he's on the radio to the team. Sounds like the Vicora is stuck in third gear, and that's never going to finish the race. He's headed for retirement. On board with Henk Tace. Third in the GT class. He's behind Super GT driver Paul Bailey in the TF Sport Aston Martin Vantage. First time here at the TT circuit at Assen for Bailey. Tace up the inside, but Bailey goes for the apex anyway. Contact. Henk Tace buried in the gravel. Paul Bailey does continue though. And that's the end of the race for the championship contender. Well, it's an unfortunate incident, especially for Henk Tace. He doesn't think that it's his fault. He says drivers should check the mirrors when you're battling. When I'm overtaking on the inside, there's no point in coming for the apex. Well, I guess that's racing. I suppose I should take into account that people can turn in like that. Maybe I should have waited, but it's really a shame. I try to keep the car in one piece. Racing's expensive enough without any damage, and that might put an end to my season. That's all I can say really at the moment. I'm feeling pretty down now. Maybe it'll be different tomorrow, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I think the car behind me was much quicker than me, but he was some distance behind me. When I looked in my mirrors, I then took the corner and he was there. So I think that he would have overtaken me eventually, but I didn't expect him to take me in that corner.
Well, either way, a damaging weekend for Henk Tace. Back to lap 4 with the GTB battle. Ferdinand Kuhl behind Henk Tace at this stage, taking a defensive middle line into the Gert Timmer chicane. Better exit for Dan Meyer in the Porsche, and of course, as we saw in race 1, more top speed for that Porsche. Straight by him. No point waving, Ferdinand. You got the line wrong behind Tace, and you pay the penalty. Well, of course, both drivers racing each other very hard. They both need the championship points. Now Meyer a little offline. Ferdinand Kuhl using momentum down into the chicane. All over the back of the Porsche, who has to get very defensive. Slips and slides. Little contact there. Rubbings racing. Through goes the Corvette. But later the same lap, the Corvette held up behind the slowing Vicora, and Dan Meyer gets a chance to take a run at him down the straight. And seize the initiative once more. Fantastic close racing, just about close enough for comfort. Well, nothing so far to worry the stewards. Both drivers realise that getting to the end is really important. First or second pays points in the gravel trap or in the pits really doesn't. As the old saying goes, to finish first you have to finish. But will the heat get to them, or will the leaders in each of our classes keep their cool? Unexpected outcomes in all our divisions coming up next. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Round 5 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli at the TT circuit of Assen. At the start of race 2, Kelvin Snooks in the white and green Volvo S60 V8 takes the lead. Robert de Graaf in the Viper and Barry Mason's yellow Vicora collide. Mason reporting to the team the car's stuck in third. He is out. Problems too for other Super GT cars, but not our leading trio. Kelvin Snooks, the blue car of Henry Zumbrink and Bob Herber's Ferrari. On board now with Kelvin Snooks. Dirk Schultz in the Porsche there, and Hans Verhelst is just in front in his Radical RXC. Oh, contact! And Verhelst is off! Oh, and heavily into the barriers. Well, it looked like the door was wide open, and Kelvin Snooks went through. But that is a big impact. Let's take a look again. Snooks flashing. Verhelst looks like he's made way, turns in, contact, and he goes straight off hard into the barriers. Well, a major blind spot there on the Radical. He's helped away. He's got a broken collarbone apparently, and the car is damaged. I really don't know what happened, says Hans. I was hitting the rear. Didn't even know who did it. I won't blame anybody until I've seen the footage. It was the fastest point of the track. I got hit in the back and smashed into the wall, and that's it. A lot of tidy up to do. Safety car is out just 2 laps before the mandatory pit stop window opens. So Kelvin Snooks and a lot of the others are going to be coming in for their stops. Snooks already with the most result seconds after winning on Saturday and several other podiums. Then he gets the news from team manager Davy Lemons that he's getting a drive-through penalty. He doesn't agree clearly. He thinks he's innocent in that contact with the Radical, but there's not much he can do. He's going to have to come in during the safety car period and do his drive-through. But let's see exactly why Kelvin Snooks got the penalty. On board with Snooks in front is Slobodan Kječević in the Audi. He's having a bit of a problem. Yellow flags are out there as Snooks goes by right next to rescue workers. Well, it could have been a lot worse for him. But Snooks isn't the only one to make a costly mistake. Robert de Graaf stays out when the pit window opens and then comes in as the safety car comes in. They lose 49 seconds in total. An absolute nightmare. Radio didn't work, says Robert. I had no idea what the plan was. The others came in. I thought it was too early. I didn't dare come in, so I stayed behind the safety car. That seemed to take forever. I've never done such a slow lap at Assen. It's a shame, really. Any chance of a podium's over now, and that's a real shame. What a waste. Second before the pit stops, Henry Zumbrink takes over the lead after them. He had less result seconds than Kelvin Snooks, and of course, no drive-through penalty either. Martin Lanting took over the Ferrari from Bob Herber in second place as Snooks is on the attack, coming back from third place. And as the Ferrari drifts wide, looking to try and grab second. Close battle in the dying stages, high cockpit temperatures, high track temperatures. Martin Lanting really under pressure. Out of the hairpin at Strubben. Kelvin Snooks trying to get the power down. The Ferrari's traction is strong, but the Volvo's speed is good too. Snooks again all over the back of the Ferrari. Working really hard, gets the drive. The V8 just squeezing him down the inside. Makes the pass stick. Continues his recovery from that drive-through to take second place as Henry Zumbrink rushes to the checkered flag as the race leader. It's win number 5 out of 10 starts and out of 6 visits to the podium. So clearly he's not settling for second or third. A much-needed win after the bad luck on Saturday. Just what I needed. After a couple of laps, unfortunately, the battery indicator light started flashing. The paddle shift started going off again. I managed to turn a few other things off. The paddle shift started working again, but without the throttle blipper. So I had to be very careful on the downshifts, heeling and towing to make it to the finish. Luckily, the safety car helped a lot, but I'm very happy to finish the race. Happy too that teammate Kelvin Snooks got into second place ahead of Martin Lanting, because that means he's now 4 points closer to Lanting and Herber, the championship leaders. The gap just 3. Lanting and Herber have scored a win this season, but they've had 9 podiums, so great reliability for the Martini Rosso Racing team. Leading from start to finish, Frederick Jonker and Patrick van Glabeke in the curbstone Ferrari 453 win their 5th GT class race of the season and take their 9th podium. Craig Wilkins and Aaron Scott was second. They took no advantage from their win on Saturday because Jonker set pole and fastest lap for the race, gaining an extra 2 points in front of them. Dan Meyer led the GTB race up to the pit stops in the Martini Porsche, but with 50 result seconds he dropped back. So too did Max Cobalt and Ferdinand Kuhl with 55 result seconds. The 16-year-old now right on the tail of the Martini Porsche, looking to make a pass, squeezes to the inside, but contact as he oversteers and hits Meyer, while the Porsche is shunted off into the gravel trap, trying to make it back. Clearly the front suspension is wrecked, he's got no steering. Dan Meyer in real trouble trying to make the pits, but can't get through the left-hander before the pit lane entrance. Meyer very disappointed despite the applause from the crowd, and it's not hard to imagine why. Great view of this from Kelvin Snooks, who was right behind. Dan Meyer said, we were in a tough battle with the Corvette. Long right-hander, he dived to the inside, bumped into me. I was in the gravel, spun round, got a rear puncture, tried to get back to the pit lane, front suspension broke. I ended up in the wall at the pit lane entry. What a mess. It's got nothing to do with fair racing. That guy's 16, he needs some driving lessons. This is ridiculous. It's the end of my championship. I'm really sick of it. I'm sorry, he said, but that's how I feel. Of course, Max Cobalt has his own version of the story. Yeah, he left me some room on the right and I dived into the gap. Then he turned in, didn't leave me any room to get round. So because he didn't give me any room, he went off. The rear started sliding on my car. I bumped into him. That's racing. Unfortunately, it's his fault for squeezing me into the corner. The race control takes a dim view of avoidable incidents and they hand Max Cobalt a stop-and-go penalty instead of just a drive-through. It's been a busy weekend for Davy Lemons with all the mistakes. As he gets the chance to go, the engine stalls and fails to fire up again. Everything's extremely hot. Finally, Max gets it running and goes on to finish third. Well, to finish first you got to finish. No mistakes from Carlo Kaya in the Praga R1, showing great speed. 7 seconds in front of the new BMW M4 silhouette of Steve van Bellingen and Vard Slice. Over the radio, the team said I had to push harder, he said. The lead over the BMW was getting smaller and smaller, so I focused on quicker lap times, and that really worked. I crossed the line in front of them. I only heard in Part Ferme that I was first in class. I guess the team didn't want to put too much pressure on my shoulders. It's a huge surprise to win in front of such a big crowd with such a little car. Really great. Well, a happy ending to our Assen weekend. Championship standings in GTB not yet fixed as investigation continues into that incident between the Corvette and the Porsche. But that's it for the GT divisions. Next week we'll bring you the Supersport and Sport classes. Next time out, they're at the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch in September, and Supercar Challenge welcomes with open arms new drivers to join them for that event. We'll see you soon. Bye for now. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes.